This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Geico asks, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance? Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help. Like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, add an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance, and more, and Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.
Hey, Ola, it's Miles. Thank you guys for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast.
Have you heard our newest podcast? It's called The Greatest Story Never Told.
Download it today on radio.com. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded every Tuesday at noon.
Unfortunately, what you're about to hear is real. The members of this radio program are simply not that bright, or what some people would call educated. They are merely stupid. They're not trying to offend anyone on purpose. And all have played doctors on TV. You have been warned and are cordially invited to join the party. This is the Men's Room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. You know what they say, shake your radio more than 3 times, and you're playing with it. You're listening to the Men's Room.
Hello, here we go. Welcome to Season 16, episode number 3441. Along with Steve the Thrill Hill, 310 Smith, and Mike Hawk. And Jim Hardmentro. On test today, Ryan Castle joins us once again, and it's time to sit and spin. Today we'll break down the science of an earworm. With 10 songs to get stuck in your head. Yeah. We will play Profile This. Plus headlines, the Men's Room Shot of the Day, fun with listener emails, and everyone's favorite, TV Time with Ted.
Clack, clack, drinking and drugs.
All right, here we go. Police arrest a mean, hungry man who stole $1,200 worth of cookies from the Girl Scouts. Meanwhile, a family of 5 needs to be rescued after wrong turn put them in a sex shop on their geocaching route. Argument over chicken nuggets leads to woman assaulting her girlfriend, then biting a cop. Man tries to base jump off a 14th floor in Panama City, and we're going to need a mop. And a woman takes a vacation photo unknowingly holding the world's most deadly animal. That is all coming on today's very special episode of The Men's Room.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, bitches. Good day to you and yours. All right, sometimes things don't work the way you thought they did. Sometimes things don't work properly. And then sometimes things just don't work at all. So let's start with things not working how you thought they work. We go to Michigan, where federal safety regulators are investigating a second crash in the last 2 weeks involving a Tesla that was an autopilot. Now, the autopilot function worked as designed, but the drivers in each case mistook autopilot for autonomous. In a nutshell, even an autopilot, you got to pay attention. You're still behind the wheel of a car. Now, sometimes things just don't work properly. In Russia, 3 crew members died when the plane they were in accidentally ejected them. Now, we should point out that the plane had not taken off yet. They were still on the runway when they were unexpectedly catapulted into the air, but not high enough in the air for the parachutes to deploy. Now, that brings us to the story of, something that did not work at all, namely a parachute. In this case, we go to Florida, where a man, he did try to base jump from a high-rise condo tower. Now, he successfully jumped, but his parachute did not successfully open, and so he successfully died when he smashed into the ground. So like we said, sometimes things work, you just don't know how to use it, Tesla owners. Sometimes things, they malfunction, eject people out of a plane, and sometimes they don't work at all, like, that pesky parachute that just doesn't open. But we've all been there, man. If you've been in a car accident, Sometimes it's your fault. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes a tire blows on the road and you flip over. We don't know, but this is what we want to know today. What malfunctioned or went wrong because it was bad or you were bad at using it?
Be part of the big show. Call 206-421-ROCK. Like the Men's Room on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Men's Room Live. And send those emails to the Men's Room at KISW.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Geico asks, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance? Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help. Like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, add an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance, and more, and Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.
Take the next step toward the career you want, be it business, cybersecurity, healthcare, or more. UMGC can help you get there. No application fee when you apply by August 31st. Visit umgc.edu, certified to operate by Chev.
Back to the conversation. This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
Oh, but tell us that away we go. Welcome to season 16, episode number 3441. What a large and in charge program we have for you today. Probably a guaranteed future repeat.
Yeah, we'll play games we don't care.
Yeah, I don't think we'll take any.
I don't guarantee quality.
Yeah, well, we'll take a day off eventually. Ryan Castle is going to join us once again. It's time to sit and spin, and we're going to find out the science of breaking down an earworm. Apparently, they have tried to figure out what makes that song stick in your head. Mm-hmm. There are a number of different reasons, but they kind of came up with a formula based on tempo of songs and how catchy they are, blah, 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 blah. But there's a science to it. So we're going to play 10 songs today that get stuck in your head. On set.
Yay.
So one of those tunes, you might be walking out of here today, you can't get it out of your head for whatever reason.
Someone else will say, goddamn, Alanis Morissette's been stuck in my head since Friday. And then they go on to call us a-holes. I couldn't read that part.
Right. Yeah. That's not the worst tune in the world.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's a small world or something like that when it gets stuck in your head. Now, that's a problem.
It's a small world after all. I apologize for that, but it was intentional.
That is not on the list. We could have put it on there, but that is not included.
Those ones are bad.
What do you mean?
Like those kind of ones, or, John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. His name is my name too.
That's all I know of the song.
Yeah, and then there's jingles,
That's it.
Commercials.
Whenever we go out, people always shout.
There's John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt.
The song that never ends.
His name is my name too.
Right, the song that never ends. It goes on and my friend.
Lovely show.
Those songs.
Bring it down. Now bring it up. It was always like there was a volume on that one.
Yeah, I know.
Bring it down. You bring it up. Oh, it's crazy.
Alanis Morissette.
What a party we're having.
Yeah. Alanis Morissette just gets stuck in your head.
Yeah, exactly. Like, where am I? Where this is the entertainment. All right, on to our question. We're going to talk about things that go wrong. Things go wrong all the time. Sometimes it's user error. Mm-hmm. A lot of the time it's a malfunction of what you are using and the equipment involved. So it can.
Well, we did our show out of a different studio yesterday.
That's exactly right. We had a little technical difficulty in here, so we had to move on over to the other side.
I don't even know what the technical difficulty was.
No.
I don't even ask. They just say, hey, man, they start telling me, and I'm like, dude, just stop there. All I need to know is where we're doing the show.
Dude, it's your classic bum otter.
So close, Ted. It's an adder.
Otter.
I don't think we have an otter issue here.
Oh, we do. Oh, they chewed on the wires. They chewed on the wires.
That's what it was.
Yeah, VD and I were in here on Sunday getting all the otters out of here.
Nice. I was wondering what those traps were.
Yeah.
All right.
Except for Billy. He can stay.
So today on the question, what malfunctioned or went wrong because it was bad or you were bad at using it? We start in Russia. This is it's a horrible story, but at the same time, it's
giggling. Just be honest.
It's worth a mental examination of what's going on here. All right, I mean, to be honest with you, because for me, and we have two instances on this where people have passed on based on falling and from heights. Right, This is my nightmare. These are the dreams that I have. This is what scares me.
This is the one.
No. Just whenever the idea of falling to my death, for some reason, I don't even think it would be that bad. Probably a heart attack on the way down.
You don't know that.
But
I've heard that's true, and I've heard that's false.
It terrifies
Who
me.
can confirm this? They say you have a heart attack before you die. It's like, okay, well, the person you're talking about is dead.
Yeah,
they cannot confirm that they had a heart attack on the way down.
Dude, I used to jump off at least 40-foot cliffs, right? I mean, at least that high. And I can tell you for a fact that I was scared, but I knew when I was coming down how to position my body, how to get in a position to land.
And it's water.
And it's water, and I understand that. Now, if it was land, I don't know how my body would react. You know,
I do.
It probably would go. It would get the realization of what's happening, but eventually, I'm not sure that my heart would explode that fast. But either way,
I don't think we'd be so lucky. I think they tell us these things to make us feel better, right? So a plane comes crashing out of the sky. Well, they probably had a heart attack or passed out before it crashed. Like, are you telling us that because that makes it a little more humane in our brain, or is there any science to back this up? Because my mind is, up until impact, I'm just screaming.
So I think the science is based on logic. Where you sit right now is 2 feet, 3 feet away from falling 14 floors to the concrete.
Sure.
Now, if that ledge wasn't there and those windows weren't there, and that was an open enclosure, I'm not even sure that I'd feel comfortable sitting right here. And I'm
I would not be comfortable where I am.
I know that, but it's
I'm good.
Yeah, you're fine with it. Yeah, you don't have that problem.
I can get to where
I have
10
that
is.
problem. So here's basically what happened.
That would be kind of cool, though. I wouldn't want to sit over there by it, but I'd stand over there and enjoy the breeze.
But see, I sit here, so I don't like this idea.
It's a rolling chair. I'd be like, I'm going to push myself off or whatever the deal is, Anyway, so 3 crew members of a Russian nuclear bomber, and they were decorated in the military from everything we've read. They were killed after the ejector seat system was accidentally triggered as the plane prepared for departure. So
think about it.
I know we have some people who work for Boeing in the area, and I'm not sure exactly what kind of planes you work on or anything, but obviously...
I don't think they have ejector seats in your average passenger.
I know that, but if you're working on military planes, then maybe you have some understanding of how this stuff works. I'm curious as far as how far the ejection module, those things would need to be tested in flight for the most part, I would guess.
Well, they're not supposed to be done from the ground. So my understanding is
you would go higher with a base instead of just being in the air with nothing to really anchor into when you shoot up. There's going to be a little bit more resistance, right?
Right, because these guys, as the story is explaining, there were 4 people on this plane. One that was buckled into the seat, they managed to survive.
He was the pilot.
So the other 3 that got ejected, it's not like they were harnessed into the seat. Like, they just got shot the hell out of the plane.
Blown out. So you're not even with... I mean, maybe the seat goes with you, but in this case, since he was buckled in with the seat... Now, think about that. If you've ever been in a car crash, right? You've got a seat buckle on. When the impact occurs... Some of the worst pain, other than if you broke anything or anything like that, is going to be the feeling of the pressure that you got from that seatbelt on your chest or on your waist. All right. That seatbelt kept him from being ejected into the air. So you would have to think that the amount of G-force that he got pushed into that seatbelt was pretty substantial, despite the fact that he lived. That guy probably has a broken collarbone, probably has a broken shoulder.
Yeah, think.
He's not having a good day.
Right.
But either way, he's not dead. So think about it this way. They get ejected while taxiing.
Mm-hmm.
Their bodies are shot up into the air. Now, we don't know if they're with seat. They're not strapped into the seat, so maybe the seat goes with them. They're flying in it for a little while. They detach from the seat. How high are you in the air?
Yeah, I don't know.
Are you a quarter of a mile up? Are you 300 yards up? It doesn't matter. You are still aware of what is going on, much like anyone who would jump out of an airplane, right? So you're up in the air.
Except you don't jump out of the plane without your parachute,
right? Now you reach the apex, okay? Of
you've now slowed down.
You've now stopped, all right? And now you're going to start going the other way. It is at that point when you can probably get yourself self-corrected enough to look down and realize, holy Christ, this is not a good situation. This happened to 3 people.
Now, I will say
3 people all at the same time.
But these
were
guys
shot into the air like popcorn.
I'm going to say they were unconscious by the time they started coming down. When you get
think the G, well, keep
in mind when you eject out of the plane, I don't think you understand.
You would still have to be able to pull the chute once you did that, so you have to still be conscious.
But most people are aware that they've pulled the ejection. That's first, all right? Nobody wants to pull it, but you prepare yourself to pull
this is true.
So you have.
This is true.
These guys were not even strapped in, right? And so when this thing blows out, the speed at which you go out, if you are not prepared for this and you're not strapped in, I'm thinking either the way your head snaps back or whatever the case is, they were probably unconscious before they even hit the apex.
Let's assume that maybe somebody was not.
Okay.
And they were conscious.
He was the one you heard screaming.
Right. And you're all up there together. I mean, you all were shot out of the same plane.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, feasibly, you're pretty close in proximity to each other.
Sure.
You know, do you look over and say,
"Is it?
Hey, Ron, sorry, man, hit the wrong button," or, I mean, I'm not sure what you do at that point, but I just think it would be one of the most terrifying experiences. You're coming down now. If you're awake,
I get why it's terrifying. We just got ejected out of a plane that we hadn't taken off yet. And here's the thing. It doesn't really matter how high they went, because the only thing they point out in the story, they did not go high enough for the parachutes to deploy.
The Russian defense
so
minister,
whatever the distance was, it's not high enough.
How high do you have to be for a parachute to deploy?
Higher than them, and I
higher
don't
than
know.
14 feet. We're 14 stories. We know that. The Russian defense minister confirmed the deaths of the 3 crew members, saying in a report they had been catapulted into the air. The height was insufficient to deploy parachutes. So maybe they were strapped with parachutes.
Somebody here says the ejector systems, they'll blow the pilot at least 100 to 200 feet in the air.
Okay. And crew members then hit the ground, sustaining injuries incompatible with life.
That is how they phrased it.
Yes.
Well, I mean, the chairs have to have the parachutes, because pilots don't wear parachutes.
They were not, but remember, they weren't strapped in. So
No.
even if the pilots doesn't open, I get maybe the chair helped cushion the fall. I don't know. But the other guys, I mean, they got blown the hell out of the chair.
So is it the chair that has a parachute, or
The chair has to have it. The pilot's not wearing a parachute.
He's not wearing a parachute.
So it's in the chair.
How insulting would it be? All right, and I know this didn't. How insulting is it now? The 3 of us get blown the hell out of this plane. Mike's fine because he's strapped in. And as
but if you strap in, you obviously you're not getting blown out of the plane. There's another part of this.
No, it still blows you out.
Yeah.
It ejects everything.
It's an ejection seat.
He is connected to the seat, however.
So when the seat hit, it saved him.
When the seat came, presumably he's the only person that had a buffer.
So the other guys are free flying.
They're because they're not strapped in their seat. But how insulting would it be? Now we've gotten blown out of this plane, and say the parachutes do deploy, but we weren't strapped in. So as we're plummeting towards the earth, we're watching our chairs
They're way above us.
No, but I'm saying just watching them float away, safely to the. I would be pissed.
It was like it'd be like the movie Up, but you're out of your seat.
Right.
You know, you're like, there it goes, but you fell out. The pilot, as you said, was the only crew member to survive. Did so because he had buckled a seat before the unintentional ejection. Yeah. So that is just absolutely one of those stories we read. It's terrifying.
Somebody here says the fear of falling can definitely give you a heart attack. A guy in India who was trying to set a world record for the longest distance traveled via zip line by his ponytail. His hair got stuck in a pulley halfway across the zip line. He hung there for over an hour. His heart finally gave out and he died.
Good Lord.
But is that fear of falling, or is that because I'm hanging by my hair, man?
Maybe it just really hurt.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, my hair is stuck in a pulley, and I'm hanging over open ground.
You know, I've been on zip line. I had no problem with that height thing.
It's different, right?
Yeah, I was in British Columbia doing it up there. And I mean, it was in the middle of nowhere. I mean, like, Bear World.
But even skydiving is not that bad, just because you're so high that you're almost not scared, if you know what I mean.
No, I don't know what you mean.
It's different. You're just looking at the planet below you, right?
I know.
And I'm not particularly eager to jump, but that's why you go tandem, because your ass is out of the plane. But your sensation of falling is different when you know you've got a lot of time. So we're falling through the air. We're going like 120 miles an hour, right? If you go spread eagle down, that's about the speed you go. But it doesn't feel like you're going that fast because you're high enough up that you don't see the ground rushing toward you. Mm-hmm. I think if you're low enough that once you start falling, you can see the ground approaching you. I think that's where your fear is. You're so high. And look, I understood if anything goes wrong, like, I'm guaranteed this is over. But you're so high up in the air, you're falling forever, it feels like. And I don't know, you kind of just get used to it.
I love roller coasters, but just getting up the first incline.
The first hill is always
one of those things where I'm like, I cannot believe how high this is. Like, it does not look this high from the ground. I cannot believe how high. Look how far we can see. Like, and then once we hit that top, we start going down, I'm having a great time.
I don't think that's a scared of heights. Like, I mean, that's how roller coasters work.
Right. Sure.
You should be scared.
It terrifies me.
Right. The click, click, click.
Yeah,
but I think you have a fear of heights, like falling off stuff. Like, a lot of people probably have some, but like when you're ziplining or something,
you're moving forward.
Right, and you're like, there's a sense of safety. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you're on a 40-foot ledge, just looking over it, like you're very well aware of like, I'm going to fall and die.
Okay, but what about,
like jumping off cliffs to me, like into lakes and stuff, and like that's always spooky.
I'm talking about bungee jump. All right, because bungee jumping, theoretically like ziplining, in theory, right, it's a controlled fall, like we're saying, the roller coaster, skydiving, zip lining. But there's something about bungee jumping. I'm like, that's the one I would do least. There's nothing about it.
Okay.
And if I'm going to go skydiving, then I might as well go bungee jumping.
No, I hear it. Man, I'm telling there's just there's something different about jumping out of the plane than there is about jumping off the side of the bridge, even though you're close to the ground. And I told Mike this. The worst I've seen with bungee jumping was, was it like New Zealand? Well, God, there's two. There was one I want to say it was New Zealand. And the instructor said something, but the woman who was going to bungee jump misunderstood him and thought he said go, and he did not say go. They had not harnessed her in. They hadn't basically hooked up the bungee yet. So she just jumped off the bridge.
Oh, God.
All right, that's one. All right, but she misheard what the guy said. Right. There was another one.
Laugh.
I know, and I laughed when I told Mike this.
I wonder how they found out that that's what she thought.
Because she was like, okay. And there was like, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Either she was heavier than they thought, or the bungee itself was too long.
And just smacked the ground.
Dude,
back up, yeah.
It's not just that you smash into the ground. It's that the bungee then pulls your dead corpse ass back up. So you're watching her bounce up and down dead. But I mean, everyone's looking like, woo, yeah.
Yep.
Like, oh, God.
Ted, I've got an 8-foot ladder in my house, which is a pretty tall ladder for a house ladder. All right. I bought it to get up high in a couple areas. Now, when my smoke detector / carbon monoxide battery goes dead, the 9-volt, for me to reach it, I have to be 2 steps from the top. And I put my knees my thighs into the top part of the ladder, right? Right above right at the shin.
Is the ladder shaking when you're up there? Because
I am freaked out. I mean, all I'm trying to do is I got this, and I look, and I have to reach up. But I'm not sure which side of the Eveready I need to put in. Like, I'm not, because it doesn't.
And you're trying not to shift your weight at all.
I kind of flicked the battery out that was dead, and it kind of fell in my hand. So I have no idea what prong goes where, right? And I'm looking up, man, and I am terrified. I mean, it is, if I hear that beeping, it's literally, I would pay someone as much money as I had to come over at 3 a.m. when that thing starts going off and change my damn 9-volt battery. Because I'm terrified. It really does scare the bejesus out of me.
Like, ladders are one of those things, like, anybody can, like, you know how to climb a ladder?
Sure.
But yeah, if you got to get to the top step of a ladder, it's like, this isn't fun.
No, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah. Do not step here. You're like, but I have to. To reach. I know I don't want to do it, man, but I got to reach this thing.
And the only thing I can relate to
not a step. Like, but I got to do it.
I don't know. I think he posted this on Twitter, but if you go to, what the hell's the guy's name? Tim McGraw. Tim McGraw, the music star, right?
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
Around Christmas time, he and Faith Hill are putting up this Christmas tree in their living room. And it's, hardwood floors and all this. I swear to God, he's on a 20-foot, 15-foot ladder, and he is straddling it, sitting at the top, to put a star on top of a Christmas tree. And I saw that picture, and I almost had a freaking heart attack.
Wasn't it like a 21-foot or something like that?
I just thought of the 9-volt in my hand, climbing up, like, you know what I mean? And here he is, at least 10 feet higher than I am, straddling the top with a cowboy hat on, like, yeah, no big deal.
You know what? And it's real simple. If your wife or Faith Hill and she's watching you, you can do 100 push-ups, and you would never be scared on top of a ladder.
Yeah, and he didn't show the pictures of all the people that put it up.
Right.
What malfunctioned or went wrong?
Fake.
Because either it was bad or you were just bad at using it. 206-421-ROCK.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Geico asks, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance? Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help. Like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, add an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance, and more, and Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.
Take the next step toward the career you want, be it business, cybersecurity, healthcare, or more. UMGC can help you get there. No application fee when you apply by August 31st. Visit umgc.edu, certified to operate by Chev.
The men's room is in progress. 99.9 KISW and KISW HD1 Seattle.
My question, what malfunctioned or went wrong because it was bad, or you were just bad at using it? 206-421-ROCK. As we're at the break there, a buddy of mine, Brian, who knows something about airplanes, too technical for me, did send me a link that's pretty interesting. And it's about a woman named Vesna Volovic.
Oh, beautiful name.
She was a Serbian flight attendant who holds a Guinness World Record for surviving the highest fall without a parachute.
Does anyone want that record?
She's got it. She was the sole survivor after a briefcase bomb exploded in the baggage compartment of a flight on January 26th in 1972. Now, this was in Czechoslovakia. The Yugoslav authorities there at the time suspected the Croatian nationalists maybe were to blame. No one was ever arrested, though. But following the bombing, she spent days in a coma and was hospitalized for several months. She suffered a fractured skull, 3 broken vertebrae, broken legs, ribs, fractured pelvis. She was temporarily paralyzed from the waist down, but she ended up being able to walk again just with a slight limp. More so to the fact that she was asked to come back to her job as a flight attendant. But then they realized that she was so famous from what had happened, they gave her a desk job at the time. Okay? So.
Well, like people are booking flights just to meet her?
She is not hard on the eyes. She was a flight attendant.
Sure.
And she went through this, and she was like a national hero, right? So let's see here. One item of note. This is what they said.
You're a hero. Look, I fell 33,000.
I feel like I would book a flight to meet the flight attendant that survived it. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I'd book a flight just because they're attractive.
Yeah. So as far as how far she fell 10,160 meters, or 33,330 feet, which is higher than Everest. She fell 6.31 miles. Now, as far as her fall, safety investigators attributed her survival to being trapped by a food cart in the fuselage as it broke away from the rest of the aircraft and plummeted toward the ground, while all the other people in the cabin got sucked out of the airplane.
Jesus.
That food cart kept her pressed within the fuselage of the aircraft. She was trapped between it. And then, when the airplane and that part of the airplane landed, at an angle, it landed in a heavily wooded and snow-covered mountainside that cushioned the impact. So physicians concluded that her history of low blood pressure caused her to pass out quickly after the cabin had depressurized and kept her heart from bursting on impact.
Jesus. So that's the trick.
That's it.
There you go.
Ta-da!
Now you know the secret.
What malfunctioned or went wrong because it was bad, or you were bad at using it? 206-421-ROCK.
I'm never hitting the ground.
Hello, Jordan. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
So, starting out early as an automotive technician, I put a brand new Mustang 5-liter GT up on a lift, and didn't ratchet right, and it fell off and landed on my colleague's toolbox.
Oh, the car fell off the lift?
Yep.
So, how much damage was on that?
So I got put on probation for about 2 years. I was not allowed to drive cars, touch cars. All I could do was work on them. I couldn't use lifts or anything. The dealership ended up paying the guy, paying off his entire loan, giving him a brand new car, and then I was responsible for charges on my colleague's brand new toolbox that was way more expensive than it should have been.
How much was the toolbox, out of curiosity?
So it was a really nice snap-on toolbox, and the guy just bought it for $32,000.
Oh, my. Whoa.
Of course that's what the car landed on.
$32,000.
How long after you put that thing up on the lift did it come tumbling down?
So it was on the rack for like a probably a good 10 minutes, and then I was going to do the tire rotation, and I pulled off the rear tire, and I guess it was just enough, that one tire was just enough to shift it.
Wow. And so you're saying that's what, a $40,000 car. The toolbox was almost as expensive as the vehicle that fell off that thing.
Yeah.
Golly.
Damn.
I never would have guessed that.
I guess that never happened again.
Oh, no, I've learned my lesson since then.
Are you allowed to use the lift now? Are you 2 years up? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
How long ago was this?
This was back in 2014, 2015.
Okay. When you see that car on the road, that year, that model, you know it. Do you recognize it and think?
Oh, instantly. Okay. Every time I see one, I'm like, that's it. That's the one.
That makes sense.
Damn.
Yeah. Okay. That's crazy.
Yeah, I've never had anything that bad happen.
What malfunctioned or what went wrong because it was bad or you were bad at using it? 206-421-ROCK.
How long do you think
I sent a car over a hillside one time.
Is that the one that rolled out of your driveway?
Yep, rolled out of the driveway. I forgot to put the car in first gear, knowing that the emergency brake was not working correctly. And then I had to get underneath and pull all the weeds out because it went over a hill.
Right.
I mean, like over small trees. It went over a hill.
And the guy never found out. Right?
No, I cleaned that bad boy up. I told him that I washed his car. This is a true story because it had scrapes all over it. And I had to pull out stuff. And there was stuff under the undercarriage, so I took it to a car wash. So I told him I washed his car because I was going on a date. And his car was dirty. He's like, my car wasn't that dirty, man. You don't have to wash it.
She was hot, dude.
So I was like, man, you know me, man. I'm just trying to look good, He's like, man, my car really wasn't that bad. I don't understand, man. It's a 280ZX.
You didn't see it when it rolled down the hill, all right?
Like, man, just be happy I washed your car.
Right.
I like that. He's like, it doesn't seem right.
Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't that dirty?
No, it wasn't. It looks fine. I take real good care of that car.
Guess who it is, Ted? James, welcome to the men's room.
How's it going, fellas?
Hola!
So anyway, I'm a local truck driver in the Tacoma area. I was working for a company about a year and a half ago, driving this old red Mack truck from like 1981, right? And so I'm getting on 512 on the I-5 in Lakewood, and my stick shift gets really like it binds up a little bit, right? And all of a sudden it gets really loose. I let go of it, and just falls on the floor.
Oh no!
It just snapped off the top of the transmission. Luckily, I was in between gears, but same truck 8 months later happened again, doing the same thing. It's just like that's something you kind of expect from like to see in a movie or something.
Yeah, a comedy at that.
Steering wheel breaking off,
But what do you do? I mean, what do you do? The truck is moving, right? And now this thing breaks off, it's laying on the floor. So what action do you take at that moment?
Well, luckily it was in between gears. So I was basically in neutral, and I just pulled over on the shoulder, called the boss. He came out kind of half-assed, welded it up, and drove it back to the shop. But, yeah, it was...
And then wait, you said it happens again 8 months later. Do you finally say, like, look, man, I'm not driving this thing anymore?
This same truck, well, it needs to say I kind of quit a couple months later from that company and moved on with my life. But, yeah, man, it was as I think back on, it's hilarious now. At the time, I'm like, what the heck, man? This is, you don't expect that to happen.
What were you carrying with you?
Okay, so, luckily, I had an empty trailer the first time, a flatbed trailer. I was going to get some machinery. One of the other guys in the shop was with me that time. The other time, I was just bobtail, just the truck, no trailer, nothing like that.
All right.
So luckily, I wasn't hauling nothing. I wasn't in gear and all that stuff. So
if you had a lot of weight, man, you might have just fried the brakes on it too. You never know. And being on a hill or whatever.
I just can't believe it happened twice.
There could be a nightmare scenario there.
Yeah. Me too, bro. I can't believe it happened twice.
Yeah.
Same truck.
Good times.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. What malfunctioned or what went wrong because it was bad or you were bad at using it? 206-421-ROCK.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm trying to think of like equipment going wrong.
I mean, in my line of working, I've rarely used equipment. I mean, other than kitchen equipment, nothing. Well, I guess the worst thing that went wrong there, it's me and one of my former roommate and coworker. Turns out we're both idiots. Worked at a pizza place. No big deal. At the end of the night, we had to make the dough for the next day. You put it in a 5-gallon bucket. You cover the top with plastic, cover it tight, and then just let it proof overnight. When they come in the next morning, they use it for the prep, right? No big deal. We get a call the next morning. That's our boss. He doesn't sound angry, but he's like, look, man, I know it's 8:30 in the morning. I'm sure you guys were out partying last night. I'm like, yes, that is true. So I need you to come in, both of you. Like, what's wrong? He's like, you'll see. That was it. So we roll in there, and he goes, just open the walk-in door. We opened the walk-in door. I did not realize how much dough will proof if you don't properly seal the top. So the dough started proofing. It comes out of the top of the 5-gallon bucket. It takes the plastic off. But overnight, because no one's there, it looked like the blob. So this is a standard, probably like 10 by 6 walk-in. You got shelves on the other side. And it's those like metal barred shelves, standard kind of industrial. This dough, it went through the crevice of all of it. It's over top of the milk. It's climbed over the cheese. It's on top of the tomato. I mean, it's just dough everywhere, man. And there was no one to blame except us because we didn't tie down the top tight enough. I cannot explain. It was 5 gallons of dough turns into something that can fill a 10 by 6.
That's amazing.
You had done it before, though, right?
We had done it before. It's just that one night we just did that. You know, it's like anything, man. You know, the one time you don't do as good of a job on something as you know you could have, like it comes back to haunt you.
Yeah.
We don't need that extra screw until the shelf falls over and lands on your kid. Or the one time I looked up from a cutting board, the one time, and man, just almost cut my goddamn finger off. Right? Because it's always watch what you're cutting. And I did. And someone said my name. And I even remember having the thought, like, just say what, don't look at it. But I'm confident at this point. I'm cooking for years. No problem. As soon as I looked at this person.
What malfunctioned or went wrong because it was bad or you were bad at using it? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, David. Welcome to the men's room.
Hey, guys.
Hola.
So I was 16, and I was getting gas at the Fred Meyer gas station, and my friends were there. They were trying to get me to do a burnout. So being a 16-year-old, a week into the license, I tried to do the burnout, and the gas pedal got stuck. And so here I am just going forward, like at 20 miles an hour, straight towards the Fred Meyer Garden Center. So I turned the wheel, bounced off the curb, bent my rim, had to dodge a couple cars, and then, that was that.
What's your parents' reaction to this?
Well, my dad's not stupid, so I'm pretty sure he knows what happened. But as far as I know, they think the gas pedal just got stuck. They don't know about the burnout part.
Okay. You're right. Your father has probably pieced it together.
Oh, by now, for sure.
But it's one of those things where it's like, look, I'm not, because I've done it with my kids, and I know my wife's done the same thing. Like, look, little man, I know what happened. What I'm going to do to spare your life is not share this with your mother. Because if she finds out, she is going to kill you. And there's nothing I can do to help you. So this is between us. Make sure it doesn't happen again. And I know she's had that conversation. Because I'll find out 2 days later. Oh, hey, I had to talk to the kids about it. I'm like, what? And she's like, that's why I waited 2 days to tell you. I'm like, okay, they lived.
Yeah, you got to put a buffer in there sometimes.
You do. Sometimes, man, you don't know how much. A lot of times, your parents come to your rescue. Even though you're in trouble with one of them, but you don't hear from the other one. That's because the one who got you in trouble, they're being cool.
Yeah. Well, that's why you got to know for certain things who you go to.
Absolutely, man. I only messed that up once, but overwhelmingly, I think my mother saved my life probably 40 times throughout my childhood. Like, I am so mad at you, and I want to kill you, but if I tell your father, he will kill you. So we have to keep this between us. I'm like, cool, I'm game.
What malfunctioned or went wrong because it was bad or because you were bad at using it? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Michael. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, dinosaurs.
Hola.
Hola.
Hey, Thrill, you ever heard of Jamestown, New York?
Jamestown? No. Where is it in the state?
It's about 3 hours southwest of Rochester.
Not familiar with it, man.
Yeah, well, I just moved here from California. But anyways, my story is I grew up in the back seat of a 95 Chevy Suburban, and I fell in love with these trucks, man. And it was actually my parents gave me that truck as my first truck when I was 18. The motor ended up blowing on that. So, long story short, I had 5 of these trucks, and something always seems to go wrong. So, I got a 95 Chevy Tahoe. My brother rolled that one off of the mountain. So, he replaced it with a 99 Chevy Suburban that was this maroon color, and we ended up calling it Larry the Mountain Lobster because he lived on the top of a mountain, and it would just tear that mountain up.
Larry the Mountain Lobster.
Yeah, that was the truck. And basically about 3 to 5 days after we bought this truck from some random dude in Oakland, one system after another started failing. So it was coolant system, we fixed that. It was vacuum leak, we did our best to fix that. And after that it was throttle control. So I'd be sitting in Bay Area traffic, and my truck would just be going vroom, 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 and lurching towards the car in front of me. I would literally have to cut the engine and just sit there until traffic moved and turn it back on.
Everybody think you're just some jackass being aggressive?
Man, thankfully, no one went crazy on me out there, but that kind of leads into my story is that I didn't really have any other option but to drive this truck. It was my only truck at the time and my only form of transportation. I was working at Tesla, so they didn't care if you made it to work or not. If you weren't there, you were going to get fired. So I had to use it. But I was coming down my brother's mountain, and the brakes started to fail. And they had been starting to fail for a while, and I had been putting brake fluid in. It obviously had a leak, but I didn't have time to fix it at the time, or the money to take it to someone to fix it. So
I'm approaching this intersection, the brakes fail, and I just start laying on the horn. I put on the hazards, I put on the emergency brake, and I hear this big pop, which was the emergency brake failing. And then there was a Silverado coming towards this intersection. We were about to T-bone, and I did everything I could, and I just turned and started drifting in front of this guy. He threw his car, he just slammed on the brakes and burning rubber and everything. He pulls up to me at the next intersection. Thankfully, we didn't hit, but he pulls up to me at the next intersection. He's like, man, what is your problem? And then I told him, I was like, dude, this is what I'm going through. I don't know what to do. He's like, pull over that gas station right there. Let's take a look at your truck. So we pull over, and he's a former mechanic. He works for AAA now. He had just got off his shift. He's on his way home, and he spent like the next 2 hours helping me diagnose my brake system, and he ended up helping me fix it with duct tape.
Of course he did. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
So Larry survived then?
Larry survived for about another month, and then I took it to Pick and Pull.
Okay.
Damn.
The death of Larry.
Yeah.
Larry the Mountain
It's
Climber.
like putting the dog down. Like, I'm going to take it to Pick and Pull.
What malfunctioned or went wrong because it was bad or because you maybe were bad at using it? 206-421-RON.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Geico asks, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance? Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help. Like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, add an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance, and more, and Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.